What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to be working on my tow rig, which is a 2016 Chevy 3500HD dually four-wheel drive diesel. What I'm going to be doing today is replacing the front wheel bearings or front wheel hub assemblies, whatever you want to call them, because they're starting to show signs of being at the end of their life. I've got some choppy, uneven tire wear, and I've checked the other components like the ball joints and steering and whatnot, and that all seems to be in good order. So I think the wheel bearings are what's going out, because I'm also getting that like that low-pitched humming noise while I'm going down the road, which is a classic sign of the wheel bearings going out. And also it kind of pairs up with the mileage that's on the truck, that these things would be going out now. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to replace these. So let's get into it. So the first time I took these center caps off on this truck, I couldn't figure out how to do it, because I've got a Ford and you just have to pry it off on the Ford. So I was sitting there trying to pry this off, and it wasn't coming, and I didn't want to break it. And then I figured out that there's these little plastic lug nuts, like thread. You can see they like thread onto the actual wheel studs behind it, and they only go so far. I don't know if you can see that little gap there. So that's what you got to do to get these off on all 8. It's got them all loose now. It just comes off just like that. I don't know if the camera can pick it up. You see there how it's threaded on the inside there, and it just literally goes over the threads over here. There we go. So the reason I took that dust cover off around here is because, if you can see here, there's an axle nut. I have to take that off to get this whole assembly off. But before I do that, I'm going to get the caliper off first. Okay, guys, I gave this top caliper bolt a go already on the first take with my ratchet, and I couldn't get it. So I got a bigger breaker bar on there now, and I'm going to see if I can get it now, because that thing is tight. Oh. Plan C, I'm going to push against the wheel well here and try and get it. Oh, it's coming. Oh, yeah. There we go. Now it's loose. Now I might as well do the bottom one right away too. Oh, I'm hitting there. There, got that one broke loose too. Okay. So I figured out why those caliper bolts were so stuck. You can see here little remnants here of thread locker. I mean, it doesn't help that they're torqued to 221 foot-pounds as it is, but the thread locker was definitely what was making it harder to get them off. So after you get your caliper free off the disc, which may be a little stuck here at first, you want to take a wire or something to kind of tie it up out of the way, and to keep the brake hose from holding the weight of it, especially on a caliper of this size, like on a dually, because this thing's got some weight to it. There, I got it tied up out of the way, up on the upper control arm here. You can see I got it hanging from a wire, and our brake hose has no tension on it, so it's exactly what we're looking for. So now we got to do the axle nut, so watch your ears. It wasn't too bad. There's a washer in there too behind the axle nut. So right here, this little star head screw, I forgot that GM likes to put that on their calipers to, I don't know, secure them on there. But my wife used to have a 2010 Chevy Impala, and when I did the brake job on there, that's the first time I learned about that. And that seems to be a GM thing, because I've done other makes and models, and I've not come across that except for on GM vehicles. I guess let me know in the comments if you guys have come across that before on other vehicles. So now we got the caliper off, the axle nut off, and that rotor retaining screw off. The next thing to do would be to get these nuts off all around, because those are actually the bearing studs themselves. And obviously taking those off, we'll get this hub extender off, and then the rotor off as well. So I wanted to show this. So I got my socket on there, and you'll notice there's holes in between every one of the wheel studs. That is so you can stick an extension in there and hook it up to your socket, and now you can put your impact on there. The reason I thought I'd point that out is because, so I have done the wheel bearings on a GM before, I've done them on a Ford before, and they had these holes. But my brother owns a 2007 Dodge 3500 dually, and he said that these holes were not in his hub extender, and so he had to use like a crow's foot back there, which was kind of a pain. So that is the reason I'd point this out, because I think this is a brilliant design, and it blows my mind that Dodge doesn't also do that. Now that we get all those off, we should be able to give this a little tap tap and come right off. Named that. That's all we needed for a tap. Now that's off. Should be the same thing with this. Couple of taps and off that comes. So now this is our wheel bearing hub assembly, and we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 bolts holding it on. So once we get those bolts off, this should come off with a little tapping, and then you can see this wire here is for our ABS sensor. Kind of snakes around here, and then it connects up here. So we just got to disconnect that as well after we get those bolts out, which are actually from the back side. A little bit of a pain to reach, but not too bad. So here's hoping that none of these are stuck too bad. Guess we'll find out in a second here. That's coming now. There, that wasn't too bad. Now let's get all of them broke free first. Yeah, not too bad at all to break these free. Thought there'd be a little more stuck than that, so that's good. On to the bottom one now. Also not too bad. And now the final bolt. There we go. I just gotta take them the rest of the way out. So the bolts are out of the wheel bearing now. Next thing to do is to get the ABS connector out. That thing right there. And then there's another one right there. And right there. It's going to be a little tricky to show this, but on the back side here for this clip, You just kind of pry it like that, and then it'll slide off so you can get the connectors apart. And then this little red thing here, you kind of got to pry up and push it, and then you can see pops out like that. And then this, you got to push in the black part here, kind of push in, and it's so hard to do this with not being positioned right. There. Push in and it comes apart then. So some of these are really hard to actually do while I'm trying to film it, so I'll just show you after the fact. You can see it pivots here. So I literally just put a screwdriver in between here and pried it up, and then that connection slides out like that. And so for this last one, same thing. I don't know if you can see, it's like a hook that hooks into another hook here. So I just, again, put a screwdriver in there, pried it apart, and then this also should just pop right out, like so. So now that the ABS wire is free and all the bolts are out, we can start tapping on this to try and get it out. I've had these come out easy, and I've had them be a fight the entire way. I have no idea how this one's going to go, so we'll see. This one's actually moving really easy. And out it comes. So you gotta use the dust shield, obviously, and it literally just slides off the back of the bearing. So this is ready for reassembly now. I just cleaned the rust and stuff out of there, not that there was a ton. And I normally will throw some like Never Sees or Anti-Seize around in here just so that the bearing don't seize up for next time I gotta replace it. But this one really wasn't bad, and this, I've never seen this before. There's actually a rubber O-ring in here. I don't know if you can see that where I'm moving it around. I've never seen that before, and I've changed out these wheel hubs on a lot of different makes and models. So that's kind of a first for me. So I don't know if that's just to help seal out some of the moisture to stop corrosion, but if that's the case, it kind of worked because this truck is 10 years old and that bearing slid right out, no problem. Start by putting a dust shield back on, and if you can see here, I took the time to throw some primer and paint on it just to help prolong the life of it, because when I did the bearings on my Ford, I had to replace these stupid things, and they were ridiculously expensive for being a stamped piece of sheet metal. Now we can put this new assembly on. Just making sure the splines line up on the axle shaft. Now I just got to start threading the bolts in one by one. Feels like it's starting. Yep, we're good. First one started. Get the second one here. A little snug. Okay, I can feel that one started too. And so on and so forth. I'll do the last two, then we'll move on to tightening them. So I got the bolts all snug in there now. I got to torque them down, and it is calling for 133 foot-pounds. So that is what we are going to torque it to. Okay, now I'm going to do the rest, and I'm going to kind of do it in a star pattern like you would with the wheels. Since there's 4 bolts, I started with this top one, then I'm going to go down to this one, then I'll go up to this one, and then down to this one. I don't know if it's necessary, but it's just the way I like to do it. So now that these are all torqued, I'm going to run my ABS wire, and I was careful with the old clips not to break them, but I see the new ABS wire comes with all new clips on it, which is pretty nice because everyone knows that plastic gets brittle over a while. So I'm just going to pull out the old retaining clips and use the new ones. So there we go, rerouted just as it was with all new clips. And I got our plug back in up here. So now it's time to do our axle nut. So put our washer back on, and there is a right and a wrong way to put that washer on. You'll see it's got like a curvature to it, and you want the curvature facing out. So I got it snugged down. This calls for a torque of 188 foot-pounds. And you can see I put a couple of nuts on there with a pry bar to hold it in place because it's going to want to spin as I'm torquing it. So leverage is your friend here. There we go. Torque to 188. Next, we're going to put our rotor back on, and I got that little hole for that retaining screw at the top, and I got it lined up on the top here of the rotor. So you see I got it started in there. Take our little Torx bit here, and I don't know if there's an actual torque setting for this little screw or not. As I said, I think it's just a retaining screw, and I have never seen anyone else even do this besides GM, so I just gave her a little snug. Next, we put the hub extender back on. I kind of wanted to give this a coat of paint too, but I don't really have time to do that right now. And it's not in that bad a shape, so it'll be fine. So those studs call for 96 foot-pounds of torque, and I did the same setup again with the pry bar because it's going to want to spin. And since there's 8 of those, the same as there's 8 wheel studs, I'm going to do in the crisscross pattern the same as you would if you're doing the wheels. So I got those all torqued down now, and I just want to point out a little trick I use when you got, you know, multiple studs or nuts that you're torquing down in a certain pattern. So as I go around in my pattern, I give it one mark with a soapstone, and I like to run through it a second time to make sure everything stayed at the correct torque. So then I'll put a second mark, and then as you spin it around after you're done, you can check to make sure you actually got them all. So next up, it's time to put our caliper back on. So I get my little hanging wire undone here. Take that out. And there we go. So now we can put the bolts back in the caliper, and just simply because it had a little thread locker on it to begin with, I'm going to put a little bit more back on it for reassembly. It certainly doesn't hurt any. Okay, got that one started, and I'll do the bottom one. So I got both bolts in now, and these caliper bolts actually call for a rather hefty torque setting, which if you remember me saying earlier in the video, when I was trying to loosen them, they called for about 221 foot-pounds. So, oh man, it's not easy. Okay, there we go. Now I just gotta do the bottom one. So now we just gotta put our dust cap back on. I'm gonna tap it on with a dead blow hammer so as not to damage it. Soft face dead blow hammer. Just gonna work around it like that until it's seated nicely. And looks like we're good. Yeah, she's seated nicely. Okay. So that's that, guys. All we gotta do is put the wheel back on, to which I'm actually gonna jack up the other side, take that one off and put it over here, and vice versa, swap them for a rotation. But I want to touch base real quick on the wheel bearing of choice that I went with. I was originally gonna go with the Moog brand, M-O-O-G, because I know they make good bearings. I've used them in the past and had good luck with them. But online, the price was pretty close to the same as getting these ones from O'Reilly's. And they only came with the option of a 2 or a 3-year warranty, which you had to pay extra for. Whereas these precision bearings from O'Reilly's comes with a 5-year warranty. Now, O'Reilly does offer another brand too. They offer the Master Pro brand, which doesn't have as long of a warranty. I don't remember how long the warranty is on those ones, but I've used those Master Pro ones before in the past, and I really didn't have luck with them. I had a Chrysler Sebring, and I swear I burned through about 3 of those things on the same side, and then enough was enough. I upgraded to the precision ones and never had another issue. Now, maybe that was just that particular car or whatever. If you guys have had luck with Master Pro, great, but I did not, so I went with the more expensive option. But guys, I think this is where I'm going to wrap this video up. I got to do the other side yet, but I'm not going to film that because I don't think any of you like hanging out with me that much to watch the same exact thing done again. But in all seriousness, for those of you who have made it this far, I really appreciate you guys watching the video. And if there's anything along the way that I didn't show good enough or answer the questions good enough, just drop a comment and I'll fill in what I can. But anyways, I hope you guys found this useful or entertaining, whatever, both. And if you guys liked it, could you do me a favor and give it a thumbs up? It helps out the channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. That way you won't miss any of my other videos I'm going to be putting out, or any of my past videos, which, by the way, if you haven't seen them, go check them out. Got some good ones. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next one.